रुचिरे नीला शिखरे वसान् प्रासादान्ता सह बलभद्रे बलिना यासे हम रम्यं सकला जन काम्यं वरवधूम् Swami nayana-patha-gami bhavatu Jagannatha Swami nayana-patha-gami bhavatu haratvam samsaram dhrutam asaram surapate haratvam papanam vititam aparam yadavapate haratvam samsaram dhrutam asaram surapate haratvam papanam vititam aparam yadavapate Ahodini nate nihita charano nishchitam idam Jagannatha Swami nayana-patha-gami bhavatu me Jagannatha Swami nayana-patha-gami bhavatu me Jagannatha Swami nayana-patha-gami bhavatu me Jagannatha Swami Jagannatha Swami Jagallathashtakam punyam yaha pade prayata suchihi sarva papa vishuddhatma vishnulokam sadacchati suchihi sarva papa vishuddhatma vishnulokam sadacchati
Hare Krishna. It's so nice to be with you here today and see so many children. I just have a few opening comments to make before the lecture. Recently I was speaking to one very thoughtful person and they said, it's very amazing how all the planets are just floating in the sky. Just think about it for a moment. If the children take a big rock and they put it up like that in the air, it will immediately fall to the ground. They cannot get it to float in the sky. And this person commented and said, do you know we are all walking all over this planet just like ants? We have no idea that this planet is floating in the sky and we're all depending on this planet, and we think, oh, I'm going to school, I'm going to my house, I'm going to do some cooking, I'm going to do some writing, I'm going to text somebody on the other side of this massive planet that is floating in the air. And this thoughtful devotee said, when I think like that Krishna can do that, make a planet float in the sky, then I feel very, very happy and very, very glad to be Krishna conscious. So I thought when I heard that, that's amazing. Because that means that on the whole planet, on all sides, what do we see? When you go up in the air, what do you see? What do you see? Air. What do we call air? Sky. And if you go up higher, you will find it's more gaseous and you will call it ether. And then we call the vast body, we call it almost like nothingness between one planet and the next planet. We call that space or outer space. And the scientists tell us that there are millions and millions and billions of planets all floating in the sky like that. Isn't that amazing? But this is called the material sky. What we see when we look up in the air, it's the material sky. The material sky is different than the spiritual sky because the material sky is always changing. Always changing. Now we have children for this Ratha Yatra, and very soon they will grow up. And we hope that they will still come, and that new children who have just arrived in this world as children will continue to occupy the front seats, or the front floor, as the case may be. And we who are getting older, we won't be here forever. So it's always changing, the material sky. So this morning I was reading from Srila Prabhupada, and he said something that helped me to complement what I had heard about the material sky with all the planets that are floating in the air without any suspension whatsoever from anywhere. Srila Prabhupada says, there is a planet beyond this material sky. There is another sky, another place with sky. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. There is another sky, another place, which is eternal. This sky is temporary. Everything here is temporary, and therefore it causes us frustration, and ultimately we will be separated from what we have amassed in the material world. That sky is the illuminating sky. And our only business is to transfer ourselves from this sky to that sky, to the illuminating sky. And that can be done. It can be done. How? Prabhupada answers. He said, it can be done simply by understanding Krishna. Krishna's appearance, Krishna's disappearance, and Krishna's activities when he appears in this material world. Therefore, to take part in the Ratha Yatra festival means to associate with Krishna directly. In this way, if we associate with Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities, and Krishna's form, then we will transcend this material existence. Thereafter, giving up this body, relinquishing it, you haven't got to accept another material body. Question. Then where shall I go? Krishna says, they come to me. So this is the importance of the Ratha Yatra festival, to go to Krishna. And the festival for children begins for us when Srila Prabhupada was a small child, and he asked his father, please, I want a Ratha Yatra cart. And his father went to great efforts, because he loved his boy so much, to get him his own Ratha Yatra cart. And he had a neighborhood Ratha Yatra, as we have read about in the Balarama. But he didn't stop there. He didn't stop there. He continued on, and eventually his plan was to have Ratha Yatra festivals all over the world. And here you are. Many of you have Indian origin, perhaps most of you, and you have brought your children, hoping that your children will benefit from some spiritual culture. But how would you expect to find that in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, if it had not been that Srila Prabhupada had been here before you? And he planted the seed, and now the seeds are growing. And now you must take care of your children very nicely, because as Srila Prabhupada had his own neighborhood Ratha Yatra, who knows which of these children have been sent to teach and preach about Krishna all over the world. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
There are several histories of the meaning of Ratha Yatra, but the deepest understanding of this Ratha Yatra festival was exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his years living in Jagannath Puri. Mahaprabhu took sannyas at the age of 24, and then, on the request of his mother, he lived in Jagannath Puri for the next 24 years of his life. He traveled in between. He traveled to all around South India, and he traveled to Bengal, and he traveled to Sri Vrindavan Dham. But other than that, he lived his whole life in Jagannath Puri. And each year, during the time of the Ratha Yatra festival, all the devotees from Bengal would come to Jagannath Puri to be with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And nowadays, if we want to travel some distance, we either get in our cars or we get on an airplane, and the journey is quite quick, and it is somewhat effortless. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees, they walked from Bengal. They walked, and they walked, and they walked until they got to Jagannath Puri. Now, we may say or think, this is a very unfortunate way to travel. You have to walk and walk and walk, and where are you going to stay, and this problem and that problem. But there is a glorious benefit to this wonderful God-given process of walking from one place to another. And the benefit is obvious, that if it takes you 2 weeks to walk to Jagannath Puri, for the first few days, perhaps, you will be thinking about where you have been, what you're leaving behind when you're walking. But after that, you start thinking with your mind about where you're going. So most of the journey when you walk is fixed in meditation. And for these devotees from Bengal who are walking to see their beloved Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, their minds were focused on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his beauty, his form, his ecstatic transformations, the ecstasy that he was constantly experiencing, his love for Krishna, his love for Lord Jagannath, his ecstatic dancing. And they would think of the Jagannath temple, and inside that temple they would think of Lord Jagannath with his big lotus eyes. And they would think about Subhadra Devi, and they would think about, who else? Lord Balarama. And practically speaking, their minds would arrive days and days and days before their body would arrive. And when their bodies arrived, they would be there with full-hearted eagerness to be with Lord Jagannath, to be with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that eagerness that they had, along with chanting Krishna's names, would blossom. Yes, it would blossom into ecstasy. Because this is actually the result that can come when one associates with the Kirtan of Krishna's holy name in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and especially if one is in the mood of going to be with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, to see Lord Jagannath, especially during the Ratha Yatra. So the devotees would come, and they would gather together with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they would dance and chant. We also dance and chant, and it is wonderful that we dance and chant Krishna's holy names, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But the level of consciousness that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees would dance and chant on was something different. By their chanting and dancing, they were constantly in Vrindavan experiencing prema bhakti, love for Krishna. They were experiencing the deepest kind of love for Krishna. And this experience, it cannot be described. It can be described, but it cannot be experienced, practically speaking, unless we have the proper consciousness. But here, in our Ratha Yatra, which is, we call it a children's Ratha Yatra, but it is not actually just for the children. It is for the most spiritually mature. It is for the children in the sense that Jagattarini Mataji said that we want them to have a sanskara, an impression about spiritual life, about the culture that is at the heart of India. We want to have those impressions enter their heart, and we want those impressions to protect them from all the rest of the impressions that they are going to be bombarded with on the internet, on the billboards, on the televisions, on their mobile phones. They won't be able to escape these impressions, these so much, how to put it politely, garbage, but dangerous, radioactive garbage that is going to be assaulting them continuously. And we know it will assault them because it is assaulting us continuously. How to protect the consciousness from the degradations of Kali Yuga. It is not easy. Actually, One has to be so fixed on the spiritual path, so sincere on the spiritual path, so that one doesn't get waylaid into activities that will degrade the consciousness and force the soul. Adishtayam manastayam visha upasevate, that will force the soul to take a body, a next body that corresponds to the consciousness that we have at the time when we takfadeham punarjanma naitimam. At the time when one leaves this world, the consciousness that we have, it dictates our next birth. If our consciousness is fixed on our pet fish, or our pet dog, or our pet monkey. Do you have a pet monkey? No. Good. Do you have a pet monkey? No. I once knew, I had a friend who had a pet python. You know what a agajara, you know what that is? It's a big, fat, and long snake, and that was his pet. So to protect and fix our consciousness on that which is true, that which is valuable, that which is sweetest, we want our children to have the sanskars or the impressions in their mind about Lord Jagannath with his sweet smiling face. And it is not possible to walk into the Melbourne temple, Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir, and stand in front of Lord Jagannath and be in a bad mood. It is simply not possible. I don't recommend that you get into a bad mood to experiment, but next time you are feeling sad, just go in front of Lord Jagannath and see his smiling face and the smiling face of Lord Balarama and Subhadra Devi. See how beautifully they are dressed. Chant Krishna's names. And ask Lord Jagannath, Baladeva, Subhadra, and ask Radha Balava, and ask Sisi Gornitai to allow you to be of some service for them. And you cannot, it is not possible to be in a bad mood. Sweetness must enter the heart. If one becomes intoxicated by all the diversions of life, forgetting that life actually has a purpose, a transcendental purpose, if one becomes intoxicated by all the Maya elements that the material world will and does throw at us, we will forget to use our life properly. And then when we are elderly, it will be too late, practically speaking. So we wish the children to gather these sanskars that will not only protect them in their spiritual life, but that will blossom. Srila Prabhupada once called the Ratha Yatra festival a festival of feeling. What did he mean by that? If one reads in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Madhya Lila, the 13th chapter of Madhya Lila, it describes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's observance with all the devotees. It describes his observing, how he observed the Ratha Yatra festival. And indeed, it was a festival of feeling, ecstatic feelings. The most ecstatic feelings. Actually, the experience of Mahaprabhu was so ecstatic that the whole world, if they can catch a glimpse of the ecstasy of Mahaprabhu and understand it, what to speak of experience, even a drop from the ocean of his ecstasy, the whole world can be and will be drowned in that ecstatic ocean of bhakti rasa. Because what the Ratha Yatra festival does, and what Mahaprabhu revealed, the deepest understanding of the Ratha Yatra festival, is an explosion of ecstatic emotions and love for Krishna. And if we can catch hold, if we can catch hold of the ecstatic feelings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ratha Yatra, then we can catch one drop, or even half of a drop, or a billionth of a drop, and that will be enough to melt our heart and not only protect us and our children, but it will carry us, that taste of that one particle of the ecstasy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will carry us to the Goloka Vrindavan. It will carry us to the spiritual world. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would dance during the Ratha Yatra festival, his body would be transformed into the ecstasies, asta sattvika bhav. Tears would come from his eyes like water from a syringe, and that would spray everyone. His body would erupt into goosebumps, and his hair would stand on end like a simile tree. I looked up, of course, when one wants to know something in this world, how does one find it out? We Google it. I looked up to find out what a simile tree looks like. You probably know it by another name, or a name that's pronounced properly, but it is amazing. It is a tree that is not very high. Perhaps it is as tall as this roof, the ceiling over here, but on this tree, from top to bottom, there are thorns that look like thorns that come out this far. And Mahaprabhu's hair was standing on end like that as he would dance and jump high into the air in ecstasy. And tears would be pouring from his eyes, shooting from his eyes, practically speaking. And he would be crying. Yes, crying continuously. He would dance, he would laugh, he would fall to the ground. What was the emotion that he was experiencing? The European scholars, when they speak about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they say that he was having an epileptic fit. They cannot find any other words to describe the trembling of Mahaprabhu's body, his standing of hairs on end, and the water pouring from his eyes. But what was he actually experiencing? This is revealed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Raise your hand if you have Chaitanya Charitamrita in your home. Oh, that's so many of the devotees. How wonderful. This book is actually an ocean of ecstasy. This is what I have seen. I mean, even from my very small point of view. Please read this book. Read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Read Srimad Bhagavatam. And read Chaitanya Charitamrita. And you will catch a flavor that's different from the flavors that are available in the material world. That have beginning, they have an end. Nateshu ramate buddha. That a wise person will not try to taste. Indriyas yate. Anyone know the rest of that verse? And you don't know it? That the material world, the pleasure in this material world, we don't like to hear it. But it has a beginning and an end. And it causes misery. But the taste of the pleasure that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was distributing by his experiences at the Ratha Yatra festival are on a level that brings the happiness that we are all actually longing for. He would dance. He would stand, he would dance in front of Jagannath's cart, staring at Lord Jagannath, with Lord Jagannath's eyes wide open. He would stare in ecstasy. He would not see a Hindu idol. He would see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He would see Shyamasundara, beautiful Krishna. But he would not see Shyamasundara Krishna in Vrindavan. He would see Krishna, the Krishna that visited Kurukshetra, that is described when the residents of Vrindavan visit Krishna at Kurukshetra at the time of a solar eclipse, that is described in the 82nd chapter of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. He would see Krishna on a chariot. He would see Krishna as a king. He would see Krishna surrounded by his armies. And he would take on the mood of Srimati Radharani, seeing the most beloved Krishna and being in the presence of Krishna in Kurukshetra, the same Krishna, but there was no Vrindavan. To be missing someone, the most dearly beloved, when we are far away from them, in the place where we know them and love them the best, is one thing. But to be in the presence of our dearest beloved, in a place that doesn't allow intimacy and love, causes a type of separation that exists even in the presence of that person. And when Srimati Radharani met Krishna in Kurukshetra, and all the residents of Vrindavan met Krishna in Kurukshetra, this was for the first time they had seen Krishna when Krishna left. Who knows who took Krishna from Vrindavan? Raise your hand if you know. Mataji, who took Krishna from Vrindavan? Akrura. And ironically, Akrura means not cruel. But the residents of Vrindavan were devastated. They could not tolerate. This is what love for Krishna means. They could not tolerate a moment's separation. They could not tolerate the blinking of their eyes, because that would stop them from seeing Krishna for a moment. Just try to we can't but try to conceive of what love of Krishna actually is. The blinking of their eyes caused them to criticize Lord Brahma for creating eyes. Akshanvantam phalam idam na param vidama. That the purpose of their eyes was to see the beautiful form of Krishna, beautiful Krishna, with his lotus eyes and curling hair, and atop his head was a peacock feather. Beautiful Krishna, all beautiful Krishna. We say that Krishna is unlimitedly beautiful. Now conceive of what unlimited beauty is. Conceive of how many times more beautiful is Krishna than anyone in this world who perhaps possesses a drop from the ocean of Krishna's beauty. Think of what it means to be unlimitedly beautiful. So the gopis say, Akshanvantam phalamidam napram vidama, that the only purpose of the eyes is to look at Krishna and the beauty of his form, and then conceive of what it would be like when that form vanishes from your eyes. It is like being a blind person. It is like lightning flashing in the night, and you see beautiful Krishna, but that lightning flash is only for a moment, and then darkness comes, and you cannot see him any longer. When Krishna was when Akrura was taking Krishna away, Krishna became so worried. He actually sent back message after message after message to the gopis, to Mother Yasoda. Do you know what he told Mother Yasoda when he left? Do you know the message he sent her? Oh Maya, oh Mother, this trip from Vrindavan to Mathura is going to be so long. How will I survive unless you cook me something to eat? Oh, Mother, cook some rice for me so I can take it with me. He sends this message just as he's leaving, because he wants Mother Yashoda to survive. And if she doesn't have something to do for him, how will she survive being separate from him? So Mother Yashoda goes and cooks. And did you ever wonder, do you know what time Akrura left? In the morning? Do you know what time he left? Since no one is enthusiastically raising their hand and calling it out, I will assume that you don't know. But actually he left early in the morning, as soon as the sun rose. And do you know what time he arrived? Late afternoon. There are many reasons why it took him so long to drive. One wasn't that he ran out of petrol, and the other wasn't that his GPS was incorrect, and the other wasn't that he had a flat tire. One of the reasons was that as he was going on the road, all the people of Vrindavan heard that Krishna was coming and passing this way. And he had to go so slowly, because each and every person that came out of their house to see Krishna, Krishna glanced at them with his eyes, and he smiled at them. And in this way, he completely captured their consciousness. Another reason, because Akrura, being very, very clever, took every small side road and crooked path that he could. Because if he went by the central roads, he feared that the residents of Vrindavan would follow them. That they could not tolerate that Krishna, this is what love for Krishna is. That they would capture Krishna and capture Akrura and tie him up to a tree maybe and leave him there and bring Krishna back because they could not live a moment without Krishna. Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd boys, they went on bullock carts. And they went through the forest and they arrived fast before Akrura and before Krishna and Balarama. And when they arrived, what do you think Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd boys were thinking of? Do you think they were thinking, what time is prasadam? They were thinking, when will Krishna come? Maybe something has happened to him. Because part of prema, part of love, is fearing for the beloved. It is natural. Fearing for the welfare. So Nanda Maharaj and all the boys were just looking down the road. Where is Krishna? It's already late afternoon. Where is Krishna? When is he coming? Nanda Maharaj told one of the cowherd boys to climb a tree, because from a tree you could get a distant view and you'd be able to see the dust of the chariot. Climb the tree, Nanda said, and let me know when Krishna is coming. And then, we won't talk about the then, but I wanted to say, at Kurukshetra, the residents of Vrindavan hadn't seen Krishna in years. And then Rohini Devi, who had been with Krishna in Dwarka, she took the hand of Yashoda Maya, and Nanda Maharaj didn't take his hand, and Devaki. And Krishna, or rather, excuse me, Nanda and Yashoda were in their tent. And Rohini Devi took Devaki and Krishna and Balarama inside that tent. And Krishna and Balaram, Jagannath, Baladeva, they just melted. And Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj just took them on their laps. Tears were coming from their eyes. They were embracing. Milk was flowing from the breast of Mother Yashoda. Devaki was there. And she had never seen anything like this before. was feeling quite astounded and transcendental jealousy. Krishna and Balarama had never treated her in this way before. So she looked at Nanda, she looked at Yashoda, and she said something that's in the Bhagavatam, but it is a little crooked. She said to Yashoda Maya especially, she said, "You have taken care of Krishna with such love and affection as if he was actually your son." Very sweet, but it has a hook on it. As if he was actually your son. Because actually, she didn't say this because no one ever says what they are thinking directly. When they are thinking something like this, even though he is not actually your son, you have treated him with so much love. And guess whose son he actually is, by the way, in case you don't know? Me. He is my son. This is all the unspoken part. This is the unwritten purport. He is my son. He is not your son. And do you know what Yashoda Mai and Nanda Maharaj and Krishna and Balaram responded? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? They didn't respond at all. They didn't even hear what she said. They were so immersed in this ocean of bhakti rasa, of the ecstasy of embracing Krishna, the ecstasy of Krishna's ecstasy of melting in the embrace of Yashoda Mai. They neither heard nor said nor replied. And finally, Rohini Devi, who is so intelligent, very tactfully said to Yashoda Mai, to Devaki, "Why don't we go outside and speak to the queens of Krishna? Why don't we go? Come, look at that. Oh, look at that over there. Isn't that quite amazing? Look at the queens, how they are in their tents, on their chariots. Look over there. Let's go outside and see." And then, after this had ecstatic volcano of meeting after so long of separation had adjusted itself, Krishna tactfully went outside to meet Srimati Radharani and the other gopis. Now, how is Krishna going to deal with this? I won't tell you, but he's very clever, and he tells them so much philosophy. He was feeling quite guilty because he hadn't returned to Vrindavan. And he knew how much they loved him. He told them philosophy, he made so many promises, but there was only one thing that he could say that brought any solace to their hearts. And that was a verse from the Bhagavatam that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of the verses he recited, and that was that I am controlled. The Supreme Controller is controlled by nothing other than bhakti. Bhakti controls me. So there is no way in existence, there is no way that we can remain separate, because your bhakti, Krishna told the Braja Gopikas, your bhakti is so powerful, it has completely captured me. So I am soon coming. Not abhyayga, kal, not like that. But when Krishna said that, and this is the mood of Ratha Yatra, it is the mood of the residents of Vrindavan bringing Krishna back to Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu's mood was that. And with the potency of his mood, he would look at Lord Jagannath, and Lord Jagannath, he would dance in front of the cart, and the cart would follow him. And then when he would dance behind the cart would stop. Because Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, was pulling him back to Vrindavan. The cart would stop, and no one could move it forward. Ratha Yatra is quite a festival, actually, if we understand even a glimpse of the depth of the meaning of it. It is a festival that children love. It is a festival that adults become happy when they attend and participate in. It's a festival that even conquers Lord Jagannath and brings him to Vrindavan. It is a festival that all the associates of Mahaprabhu would never miss, even if it took walking for weeks and weeks and weeks to attend it, to be in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagannath. So we are all very fortunate to be here. According to our capacity, let us chant Krishna's names. And now Lord Jagannath is taking Jagannath Prasadam, and he's so kind that he takes Prasadam, because Vrindavan is known as a Bhajan Stali, and Jagannath Puri is known as Bhujan Stali. So no one ever goes hungry in Jagannath Puri, and no one will go hungry after Lord Jagannath takes it, the prasadam, after this festival. We should take and take and take and take prasadam, take prasadam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees, they would dance and chant and dance and chant and dance and chant, and they would take prasadam until they were full up to their necks, which is quite full. Because any more, well, okay. Thank you very much. Lord Jagannath, Baladeva and Subhadra Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jagattarini Mataji, I have a special request for you. Now, after Jagattarini Devi Dasi, when she first joined in the Hare Krishna movement, she was in Los Angeles. And one of the first things she did as a very young devotee, she attended a Ratha Yatra festival. She went from Los Angeles to San Francisco and attended a Ratha Yatra festival. Now, do you know who was there at the Ratha Yatra festival? Raise your hand if you can. Just say one person who was there. Who was there at the Ratha Yatra festival? Yes, Untitled Prabhu. Lord Jagannath was there. Yes. And who else was there at the Ratha Yatra festival? Baladeva was there. And who else was there? Subhadra Devi was there. And you know who else was there? Srila Prabhupada was there. And Prabhupada danced. Yes? Prabhupada danced. And when Prabhupada danced and chanted, what did the devotees do?
Danced and chanted.
Yes. So I have a request. You've been tricked by Lord Jagannath because you're already holding the microphone. Could you please, this is my humble request, my dear, I can't say Mataji at this time. Could you please lead a kirtan?
Kirtan?
Yes.
Lead a kirtan.
Just for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Now, I'm requesting Mataji to lead the kirtan. I'm requesting you to play harmonium. I'm requesting you to play mridanga. And I'm requesting all of you to sing. And not only sing, I'm requesting you also to dance. For the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Jagannath, Baladeva, Subhadra Devi, and C.C. Gaurnatai.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivasesha Sunyavadi Praskacha Desitarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hari Hari
Jagattrini
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakti Shri Radha Krishna Govindana Shankh Radha Kiri Govardhan Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Maya Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Shri Chatra Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Dev Ki Jai Shri Baladeva ki Jai, Shri Subhadra Devi ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru, Shri Prabhupada, and Shri Gauranga. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Rama, come this side. Come this side, Riya. Come this side.
सभी पकड़ेंगे बेटा, सभी पकड़ेंगे.
Leave some bread.
लोग बड़े और जोते नहीं बड़े.
Please slow, little slow.
Come this side.
Little slow. Prabhuji, little slow.
Mataji, you make this side. Please come this side. Come. Mataji, come this side. Toward this side. Come.
Look at Mataji. Look at Mataji.
Yes. Come this side, Mataji. Make it side. Yes, like this side. Please come this side. Okay, make a little bit round. Hello. Come this side. Come Prabhu. More.
सैटरडे शाम में चाहिए कोई तो ही होती शाम ट्यूजडे आते हैं सैटरडे जॉब वगैरह